Okay, so Rob Berland, like maybe 6 months ago, said the most intense thing. He's giving a talk, and he said he'll have families with teenagers that have like super bad problems, and they're doing thousands and thousands of dollars worth of therapy. The parents try to fix whatever's going on, and he said it's because like certain couples will like do whatever they conceive their kids in a way with all sorts of the way the kids were conceived wasn't like done according to like real purity, and somehow like the personality trait gets like imprinted. Like when the parents conceive a kid, somehow that personality trait gets like imprinted in them from what's going on in the moment when they're conceived, right? So like if it's somehow like against the laws of purity, the laws of Torah, or something, you like can imprint like a bad personality trait in the kid. So Rob Berlin was saying, like, people, if couples had like a couple minutes of patience at the right time, they'd head off like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of therapy and problems later on, right? It's fascinating, right? They have this in Chinese medicine too. They say like people are sometimes really careful about what they're doing during pregnancy and conception, because the Chinese also have the same similar ideas of how you like you're programming. So you program the computer. You have like a great computer program, and you program the computer, and it works a certain way. Where like parents are like programming their kids, before conception, during conception, obviously, like during the youth. Everyone knows that. Everyone has this in mind that during the youth the person's life is being programmed, but no one really thinks that deeply about the programming in the moment of conception. So I was thinking about that because this big Breslov rabbi showed me once that in the Likutei Moharan it says when a man does what he's supposed to, then his wife will want to follow him. I'm never married, so I think everyone here's married, was married, whatever. So you guys know better than me, but a husband, like a wife, doesn't always want to follow along with others. A lot of times she wants to go against him. So in the Likutei Moharan specifically, it says that when the husband shmeres the bris, when the husband's sexually pure, then the wife will want to follow him, and when he's not, the opposite just kind of brings up some kind of rebellious trait. And all this, I like the teachings when we bring the Breslov down into biology. Because otherwise, a lot of times it stays up here like some interesting idea like somewhere else, and all these like real concrete biological stuff is really interesting. And why is it? Why would that be? And anyone feel free to like say anything during class. Ask anything, asking questions, say anything, share anything. So why would that be that? Why would that be that if the man is sexually pure, the woman would want to follow him? And one idea is it just builds a guy's power, like in general. If a man's depleting himself in different ways. Chinese medicine also says the main way a man depletes himself is through sexual excess, sexual impurity, sexual excess, and then has an interesting. It says that Chinese medicine says the main way a man depletes himself is through sexual excess. The main way a woman depletes herself is through emotional excess. Very, very like you sort of can't say these things in public, but whatever. I get away with it for whatever reason. So if a man's sexually pure, he builds his power in general, and obviously like that's potentially attractive for a woman. Just from Goyish culture, it's like it goes without saying, a powerful man's more appealing to a woman, and in Sefer Midah, it also says like the licentiousness, the lust of a woman ruins the home. So it's like the same. It's all like all sides of the same coin. So a baby's personality can be programmed at birth through the right practices. And so I had a couple of readings of this from the chapter in Sefer Midah on promiscuity. It says the licentiousness of the wife destroys the house, and that's like in American culture, a lot of times it's kind of like glorified, right? The sexy couple, this kind of thing. It's like all mixed with commercialism, capitalism. It's kind of like part of the sale. It's not really like a health-centered way of looking at things. Like sexual purity is a hard sell. I was thinking when I was thinking about this class, I was thinking back in high school. Like I went to like a regular Goyish high school in Lexington near Boston, and like sort of it was very cool to just all the parents kind of let the kids in general do whatever they wanted to. Have girlfriends sleep over, just like anything goes. Very very like loose. That was the culture. And then there was like the weird Christian kids in school. They were like we all thought they were nerds, and they were like kind of very 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 no sex until marriage kind of thing. But even back then I noticed like these kids would have a certain like power that the other kids didn't have. Like over time that sort of drew me out of the regular kind of party scene towards looking that direction. And here it is again. Anyone has immoral sex. Through this, their wives see in a dream impurities called murin, some sort of like haunting, some sort of like weird haunting in a dream. Anyone to whom an opportunity to sin comes is like Yosef Atzadik. Anyone has an opportunity to sin and he doesn't, a miracle is done for him. So we're all going to have like endless opportunities every day to kind of go in the wrong direction with this. Even with guarding our eyes, that's like something that's not so popular in America. My friend from Breslov here, he told me a story. He went. My friend from Breslov went to some government office. He had to get something done. One of the guys from Shul, and the woman in the government office was dressed, like super Miami style, miniskirt or something. And he just like put his hand in his lap and just kind of looked at his hands. And she started to get annoyed. She said, like, sir, I'm trying to work with you. Why aren't you looking at me? And his wife started to explain, he doesn't look at other women. He only looks at me. And the woman like sort of like a light bulb went up her head. She said, that's so romantic. And then she brought her friends in the office around, like, look at this guy. He doesn't look at other women. She made it into a show, like, what started off as like undermining her power and pissing her off. She suddenly like saw such a beautiful thing. So even that, like every time we walk out in the street, we have an opportunity to kind of like gaze at women we're not married to, and even if we don't do that, we're going to have miracles. That one small thing. I was in a shidduch, and I was trying to guard my eyes, and the shidduch was kind of annoyed by it. She was less religious. So then I asked my rabbi. He said, no, you're obligated to look, obligated not to guard your eyes. In the shidduch, it's the opposite. Yeah, you can't annoy her. One who, and here's a couple real intense ones. Sometimes through marital matches whose partners are not suited for each other, one of them dies. Sometimes through marital matches where partners are not suited for each other, one of them dies. When? Oh, that reminds me of the story I have to tell you. This is a crazy story over here.
Usually everybody dies after 40 years.
No, whatever. So listen to the story. There was a very wealthy man, and he found this younger woman, very much younger, and he was super attracted to her, and she just wanted nothing to do with him. And he tried everything, nothing worked. And then he went to like one of these black magic Kabbalist types, and he found out that, and he did this thing where you bind the souls together, some kind of like weird, Kabbalistic voodoo type of thing. And sure enough, they got married. She was always telling people like, I don't know what it is. I hate the guy. I want to leave. I feel like I can't. It was almost like she hopped it without understanding what's going on. And they had a terrible marriage with all sorts of conflict. And then she finally went to some like huge Kabbalist, and he said, "Did he ever give you any?" He started to do his detective work. He said, "He ever gave you something, whatever?" So he found it out. He'd given her some kind of kameh or something, and he got it. He opened it up and he checked it out, and he figured out. He said, "Oh, he did some kind of binding thing," and he took her to a bigger Kabbalist who said, "He said, okay, I can separate the bind. I can do something where I separate this binding thing, but one of you might die. One of you might die. So if I do it right away, one of you might die. And if I take my time and do it like carefully, everything might go off. So of course she said, okay, take your time and do it carefully. So he did it. And then sure enough, she separated, she got divorced, and then he died 7 days. Died 7 days later. I shouldn't laugh. It's just such an intense thing. Wow. Died 7 days later, and then it turned. And he was very wealthy. But it turned out she didn't get any of the money. Like everyone came in, connected him, and took all the money. It's just talk about weird Kabbalah. So that goes back to my last class, which was all about like this higher Kabbalah. It's really unsafe without the halacha. It's kind of super dangerous. Just basically like playing with fire without any protection. The metaphor is that if say you have like a little electric line, whatever electric line that's lighting up a light in your house or something. Okay, so you have a little electric line, little cable like this. Say you have like voltage, huge voltage that's going to light up the city. You need the biggest protective cable, So that's so the halacha is like that protective cable, so that protects us so we can have high voltage. And that's back to this thing about like human sexuality. You can make a case that it's like the highest voltage thing we can work with in our life, right? And so without the halacha, it's just completely potential for any kind of problem possible. And similarly, why would a woman want to follow a man that was Shmiras Bris? Is because he's harnessing the most powerful energy in creation and like using it the right way. So naturally, like that's attractive to any normal woman, So these Torahs are kind of a hard sell in Miami in general. But here we have this little place where people are into it. It's a good thing. And back to high school, I got into Chinese martial arts in high school, and I got real serious about it. And then I started reading how the real serious Chinese martial arts guys were all about Shmiras Bris. This is kind of like part of the, their version of it. It was part of the training. And so I got real into that back then. But then sure enough, like one of the people I knew, he was so intense, he was an intensely famous teacher, intense and everything. And they had no halacha, nothing like, they have kind of their own ideas, but nothing like we have so solid. And I found out this guy got like the weirdest perverted sex scandal of teenagers and stuff. It was like playing with that energy of life and not having any kind of balance, Okay, so back to the promiscuity thing. One who marries a woman who is not appropriate for him, it's as if he plows the whole world and plants it with salt. And plows the whole world and plants it with salt, so like nothing can grow, until a mess. And when God basks his divine presence, when God gives the Shekhinah, he testifies on behalf of all the tribes, but not on behalf of him. God will give blessing to all the tribes, but just not on that one person. So it's not worth it. One who breaches the covenant, one who falls in sexual purity, it's as if he transgressed all the commandments at once. Pretty thorough, dissuasive statement. Through promiscuity, even the righteous fall. This one's interesting. Through lamenting the death of the righteous, if we really mourn over a tzaddik, it breaks our love. It breaks our love of women. Probably, obviously, saying our love, kind of mishigas, with women. What's that? No, I'm just saying, someone might hear that and they say, well, I thought you're supposed to love your wife, obviously there has to be connection. I think the whole chapter is called promiscuity, extra curricular. Through spilling one's seed wastefully, one creates klipas, evil forces that enclose themselves in people who oppose him. Very interesting. So would spill seed, and that klipa would people that oppose him are sort of connected to that energy somehow, and they antagonize him and they cause him suffering. Back when I got into the sexual purity thing, I just way in the beginning, I remember I'd go over certain people's houses and you just feel bad, you go to people that are not into it, you feel bad vibes. You go to a nice house, you feel good vibes. So what are the bad vibes? Rabbeinu seems to be saying it's they're actually creating actual beings. It's a famous Torah. Everyone probably knows from Mary Nachman that so when you spill seeds, it creates Yeah, some kind of with a male seed can obviously create a baby, and so Bain is saying like if it's spilled, there's like psychic sort of astral babies that can get created without bodies, which most people think like sounds far out, but it doesn't really sound far out to me because if seed can create a body, if the seed can create a baby inside someone's body, why couldn't the seed mate with something else and create some kind of being outside the body, right? So maybe far out, maybe not. So through spilling one seed wastefully, one creates klipas, evil forces that enclose themselves in people who oppose him, and they antagonize him and cause him suffering. Again, sounds like it's not worth it. One who wants to guard his sexual purity should always say the truth and should always do kindness from one who does not expect repayment. So that's the connection between Smeris Bris and purity of speech. An obvious thing is, can anyone guess what I'm thinking? Like, what's the connection between sexual purity and carefulness in speech? It's one way to look at it is like someone can emit seed sort of accidentally. Someone can emit the wrong speech accidentally, right? It's a kind of like lack of discipline, lack of control, right? So someone who masters like how to keep their sexual purity, how to keep the seed in the right place. They also can master how to restrain speech, right? And you just kind of see people that like live like a wild lifestyle or something. They're much more wild in their speech, much more scholarly or something, and restrained and controlled.
Just an interesting line that under the Brit is a line that's formed at the same time as the line under your tongue called.
Like the yeah.
That's in the development of the baby. It's at the same time.
Wow, totally.
And then it splits into.
Yeah.
So it's connected.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. People say in general that the Brit and the tongue are like sort of similar. Yeah, that's it's very incredible. Like we can't possibly hope to master our Brit or sexual purity without mastering our speech, and vice versa. It's like one game. It's one game, the same game. That's famous for all the Shalom Bayit attempts, or just to be able to not say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Same thing, like a guy a man who doesn't just want sexual relations in some kind of like wild, random kind of way. It's a guy who has control. Same thing, a guy who has control of his speech. One of my teachers used to always say, like in regards to dating and marriage, like we can try to be right or we can try to be smart. So like I have that bad habit in the past. Like, I'll try to say whatever's true, but it's not like the right time to say it. Okay, for the rectification, for the tikkun of ruining the sexual purity, someone should pursue peace. So like if someone's already made a mess of their sexual purity, they should just try to make peace, peace in their relations. Makes sense to me. One who transgresses the prohibition against homosexual relations, through this he is caught and incarcerated. When he transgresses the prohibition against homosexual relations, because of this transgression, he's just, in general, he like goes towards a life of crime. In Sefer Minot, Rabbi Nachman says a bunch of unpopular stuff about homosexuality. I think there's maybe like 15 things. It's just very it's not much. There's not much other way of interpreting it. Like maybe he was positive about one thing I read the other day says you can't judge a homosexual favorably, right? It's not like the American way or something, but very clearly it's not like a gay positive tradition. But we always have to make the point that like in Torah we say we have to love everyone. Everyone's equal in God's eyes. It's just the acts itself. We're not like condoning the lifestyle. So, but a gay person for sure can come to God. Someone who's a criminal can come to God. Someone who's depressed can come to God. Like whatever. Like we can all. Everyone has the potential for rectification always. But in America, the whole idea that someone who's gay like would want to change that. That's like you can't even say that. You can't say that with a taken to court or something. I think anyone follow the gay cake, the big case of the bakers that wouldn't make the cake for the gay guys. Yeah, so it just went to the Supreme Court and the bakers won, and then the gay guys were like, "We're gonna fight it to the end." You know?
Wow.
We're gonna appeal and fight it, whatever. Rabbi Sokol is a big rabbi in the Old City. He said, and there's a prophecy in the end of times, it'll be like illegal to keep anything in the Torah. You know, it's like it'll all become illegal. You know, I think I told before my class, I was a massage therapist in Boston, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna stop working on women. I just don't want to. And the city of Boston said, we can sue you if you don't work on women because it's discrimination in America. Like kind of illegal to keep the Torah. If anyone reminds me to look this up, I'm curious. Mercury is conducive for masculine potency, masculine potence. What they mean, mercury, like what? Mercury is like a deadly poison. I don't know what. I'm just curious too. I know in Ayurvedic medicine, the medicine of India, there's some uses of mercury, but they really like purify it and do some special preparations with very bizarre like stuff. So I don't know what Rabinach was talking about. Okay, this back to the first quote. One who has relations with his wife in a time of hatred, the children born make themselves apostates. That was the thing we started the class with. Warren Harry said that. Rabbi Nachman said that. Rob Berlin said that parents sometimes will conceive their children like in a state of real impurity, and then the children's personalities will just like go really bad and need like so much work over their whole lifetime that it's just not worth it. Promiscuity comes as a result of involvement with impure names in witchcraft. Promiscuity comes as a result of involvement with impure names in witchcraft. So like I said before, I was involved with all this New Age stuff in America, and it's like one, you see, it's like one, what's it called? Conglomerate. There's a better word for it, but in the New Agey kind of movement, like the witchcraft and the immodest stuff and all these bizarre other practices, it's like one thing altogether. So we want to somehow work our way out of it. Unlike most people in Breslov, I'm really into like making friends with all these kind of different movements and saying like, hey, listen, you've got a lot of good stuff. We want your good stuff, like a trade agreement. We want your good stuff, and we're going to teach you halacha. And we're going to show you how to why you can switch from this to that, and because most old school Breslov is just about like separating ourselves from all this stuff 100%, which also has a intelligence to it. I'm a little more wild. A repair for releasing the seed in waste, a repair for spilling seed, is that a person should make efforts to bring people back in repentance. So the more someone fell, the more people they can bring back, like Reish Lakish. Do you guys know that one of the guys here has a whole thing for Reish Lakish? You know this? One of the guys in shul, he like Arthur. You know this about the Reish Lakish thing? One of the guys in shul here in our shul, he they found Reish Lakish's kever, I don't know, and he's made this whole hilula, a whole like yard site every year at Reish Lakish's kever in Amaron. Yeah, okay, he raises money for it. Everything. This one's like we could just meditate on this one the whole day. Through inadequate faith. Is it okay to? You can do whatever you want to speech. Through inadequate faith comes promiscuous thoughts. Okay, so this one we could unpack for a while. Through inadequate faith, someone doesn't really have faith that gives life to promiscuous thoughts, right? Isn't that interesting? Somehow, whatever. You could say the opposite. If someone has like huge emunah, it's more realistic for them to be sexually pure, we spend less time thinking like what's the source of things, like why is one person like full of kind of direction of going towards impurity and someone else is just kind of drawn, what's the source of it? So like if someone has huge faith in God, it somehow just helps them to relax, and when they're relaxed, they'll have more seichel, more like shoot the dot, and not just be like, oh, maybe I should run here, maybe I should run there, That's how it makes sense to me.
So emunah and facial thoughts. That's
Yeah, yes,
correct.
yes. Someone has more amuna it's more realistic for them to be pure. It makes sense. You think of someone who's settled, someone's happy in their marriage, and then promiscuity is sort of always associated with like people that are running around and unsettled and sneaking around and
Mhm.
misbehave. Okay, here we go again. The offspring of sexual offenders will become in need of witchcraft.
The offspring of sexual
Yeah,
offense.
sexual offenders, like someone who did really bad, probably means someone raped or molestation or some like
will need which
will become in need of witchcraft. That is so wild. Offspring born through witchcraft will become promiscuous. That was kind of like that story I told about that weird Kabbalah story.
We get into
What?
this list.
Oh, Sefer Midot. Yeah, it's from Sefer Midot. Yeah, Sefer Midot. Yeah.
Yeah, there's many things that are difficult to understand.
Yeah. It's very. They are and they're not. They all, if you think on it long enough, they all have some kind of like connection. I can usually find like.
You know what I read once?
Yeah.
Accountants are evil people.
No, so accounts are full of lust. So that quote.
Okay,
Accounts are full of
lust.
lust. No, see, I thought. No, to me it made sense. Someone's just thinking about money all day, every day. No, it's kind of like sex.
That's what it means. Okay.
Sex. No, that's my interpretation of it. I'm not saying it's a final interpretation. Someone who has to contemplate money all day, every day. It's sort of money, sex, power, one thing. Okay, so offspring of sexual offenders will become in need of witchcraft. They'll go in such a strange way. I was at I was meditating near my housing complex, and the security guard was there. He came out to talk to me, and he said he grew up like in Haiti. He said you have no idea. They had a house in back of their house. The whole house was just for witchcraft and spells. And he had become a Christian. He said, his grandparents, you wouldn't believe like the kind of degree of devotion to the, yeah, it's the whole thing. Witchcraft is all.
Latin America.
Yeah, Latin America, Santeria, all this stuff. It's a huge thing all around the world. And I want to study this a lot more, like where witchcraft starts and stops, what's okay, what's not okay. I like this study, it's a weird study. The Sanhedrin used to be experts in all the black magic in the whole world. Not experts in, obviously not experts in doing it, just they had to understand it all so that they could make rulings about it. Offspring born through witchcraft will be promiscuous. So if the parents are involved with all this stuff, the kids are naturally gonna go in some strange way. Sexual offenders, for the most part, oppose the righteous.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural, right? They're just kind of like going in a weird way, and how come? It's another thing. How come people are drawn? Why is one person drawn to go to the Baba Sali when he's alive? Why is one person drawn to go to Rav David Atzera, whereas another person's drawn to go to the club? Like, what is that inside someone? Like it's none of it's random at all. It's just like food cravings. Why does one person want to eat tons of white sugar and someone else wants to eat like your juices? You want to make a plug for your juice company? No, he's got a juice company. That reminded me of a point. Ruben, the baker here, he said these kind of breast love centers like we have, he said they'd be perfect for every kind of hippie town in America. I think it's totally true. You notice our shul. Gedalia works in a drug rehab. You have a juice company. I work in natural medicine. Ruben cooks natural bread. That other guy makes like clothing according to Jewish astrology or something. Like everyone's, not everyone, but a lot of people are doing like some interesting kind of counterculture type of career. And when he said it just makes sense. You could have these breast love centers like, in Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, and Burlington, Vermont, all these kind of cool towns. It just like fits, I think that might be a real like mission. The way Chabad spread to all these places, like breast love could, because just those people are they're already meditating, they're already doing yoga, it's all this stuff. And then, it's like 2.0 or something, people are like, okay, we did this for 10, 20, 30 years. What now? It's like a kind of higher thing. So I studied the history, like all the alternative stuff in America. I basically was just around counterculture America for 15 years. So I'm kind of Bucky and like all the counterculture stuff. So you study the history of it, like the all these yogis came over in the 70s, you know, and they were trying to teach like sexual purity. It didn't quite work, and most of them fell in scandals, you know. And then, you know, they tried to set up ashrams where people are going to be like real spiritually impure, and it just didn't, you know, it kind of like caught on in a small way, but not like any kind of like societal movement. And then the kind of movement went towards, you know, yoga fitness and just like yeah, more physical and more material. You know, they kind of pooped out, but people still have this idea like, wait a second, you know, some kind of purity thing combined with health, you know. So I think our little Breslov model could be I think this kind of center could be like a template for that type of thing, you know, in all these hippie towns, because it's everyone's a little bored. My sister lives in Boulder, you know. It's like everything's the same gig. You got a yoga studio, health food place in every corner, which is great, you know. It's great, but still, it's like, okay, what's next? What do we do now? You know, it's kind of like potentially a higher level. But they look at us and they say, "Oh, you guys aren't as healthy as us," you know. And a lot of times it's true. So that's why I think it's got to sort of like morph into one. Am I getting the door? It would have to morph into one thing, like sort of Breslov, healthy center, you know, like just to be competitive from a business angle. You know, like why would they come here instead of the yoga school? You know, it'd have to be like healthier and higher. But that goes back into the real sexual purity thing. Like that's what I was saying about these yoga movements. These yoga movements they had that you get super powerful by being sexually pure, but they had it all mixed with, you know, Hinduism and chanting and what is that, you know. So America's, you know, rightly so, was like, you know, America didn't want to convert to Hinduism all at once or something, you know.
They had an intention originally for sexual purity.
All the yogis. Yeah, there's Muktananda, there's Shivananda, Satchitananda. Yeah, Satchitananda was on at Woodstock. And I said all these guys in their history and everything. Yeah, they came over and they tried to teach Americans, you know, to sort of like be pure like that, but it was sort of a misfit, you know, because whatever, people were just working, you know. But it was in the 70s and the hippies and all that. So whatever, it's a big story. But the short story is, you know, these Breslov centers could be really, you know, we should help establish them all around America. Let's start now. So we need $10 billion. Connected to this indirectly is, you know, Spodidus, which we get into every class in Breslov. And Rob Ofer Erez, anyone read his new book? It's Into the Depths. It's like it's powerhouse. It's powerhouse, and he's smart. It's very like beautiful and simple and approachable. So I was reading it. He's talking about it, you know, during Spodidus, he's like, you know, you can turn off your cell phone for an hour in the world. You know, in the beginning you think I can't turn off my phone. You know, I got a million things to do. He said, you know, you turn it off, and then you come back an hour. You realize, like, you know, the world went on without you. Like, it was okay. Which I needed that, because a lot of times I got to do a Spodidus and I leave my phone on and someone will text and I text back, and, you know, one thing after another. Before you know it, like the hour is gone. So yesterday I turned off my cell phone for my session. It's just like, you know, 99% better kind of product, you know. So that's like should be really we should all try to do that during our time. Turn off our cell phones, you know. Otherwise, it's like halfway. And it fits in with what Rabbeinu says, that our Spodidus, we have to like pull away from the world totally, you know, like kind of like let go of everything we're connected to all at once, and just go all the way inside and deal with whatever's most central. So, you know, that's like the very symbolic and actionable thing we can do. For Erez, people know about him. He saw his classes. He came to our center?
Yes.
No, how long ago?
What?
How long ago?
2 years ago.
People came. It was like the whole thing. Wow, that's cool. Who? You should bring him in. Yeah, he's a real powerhouse, and I got to know him a good bit, like the last couple of years, dialing with him practically every day, ask him questions. Yeah, he's like, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop him, because one of the things is he's so cool. He grew up with like the highest level left wing people in Israel.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like in that whole scene, and he was like going to be he was some kind of like nuclear scientist, just super smart, you know, super smart guy.
The tone of his voice is so mesmerizing.
Yeah. He's totally deep guy. My friend was talking about his lectures, and he said they're basically like, you know, university level lectures. He builds a whole. I don't watch them so much because they're in Hebrew, but brilliant guy. But anyhow, I don't think anyone's gonna be able to stop him because he's very cool. He's maybe the most hip of all the outreach rabbis, and brilliant. He knows the whole left wing thing, and super serious person. And yeah, so that's yeah. He's got a class every Wednesday night in Tel Aviv. Like all the hipsters come to. So
Really?
yeah, totally.
Eddie, you don't pay $50 right now. We don't do phones.
Oh yeah, $50 to Gedalia.
Hey. Give my man $50 right now. Shmuel, you don't enforce this thing?
I'm trying to get money. I'm trying to get money from this freaking.
Don't.
Oh,
no,
yeah, Gedalia, it's live, just so you know.
It's live, but
Oh,
Tomorrow I have a break in the morning, 8 o'clock.
Oh, you had a baby?
oh, Mazel Tov.
Not mine.
Oh.
Huh? Better come.
Okay, Mazel Tov. What'd you start to say? No, you started to say something. Okay, so
He has a breast bar or
not his breast. Not his breast.
but a breast. That is
Abrams,
breast.
yeah. He said Abrams. Okay, so my usual plug here, just in time for Steve. We know from halacha that if we have an opportunity to do two mitzvahs at once, and we could only really do one of them, we should go for the higher one at the sacrifice of the lower one for that moment, right? So if we what's a good example of this? What's something that's more important than something else? Someone throw out an example. We can daven nates that day, or we can study an extra hour of Gemara or something. Okay, it's a mitzvah study, but we should daven nates, so we daven nates and study the Gemara afterwards, right? That could probably be with my never-ending sale thing. Rob Berlin said that the goal of life is to find who the Tzaddik Ador is and follow them. So most people I know in Torah, they're doing all sorts of wonderful mitzvahs. You know, I lost the customer. They're doing all sorts of wonderful mitzvahs, but are they doing them first at the expense of like seeking who they think is the Tzaddik Ador and trying to follow them, right? Yes, anyone here? Disagree? Agree? In other words, like Rob Berlin said, the goal of life is to find the Tzaddik Ador and to try to follow them. If that's true, that would make that like the number one mitzvah that someone could, say someone didn't get to daven dates that day because they were trying to find who the Tzaddik Ador was. They heard Rav Ofer was in town and they want to go and they advanced like that. Like the Torah of life versus Torah of death. Torah of death is when we use the Torah to kind of like distract ourselves somehow. That's part of how I came to the Breslov, because I was around other movements and I felt like they're just not healthy. Other Torah movements, I felt like the people didn't seem healthy and happy. It was like, but some of them were huge Talmud Chachams or whatever. I felt like, wait a second, some things. I'd come from my 15, 20 years in like alternative medicine, so it's kind of good at like seeing what's healthy, what's not. It's like something's wrong here. So that's the final sale, so people can sign up now for $19.99. Just kidding. Okay, any thoughts, questions in general for the whole year? Final closing criticisms. In Breslov, we don't want to hold ourselves up as important. So during these classes, if you like good criticism of me that end up to make me not feel like I'm leading the class, that like helps to debase the teacher, challenge the teacher. Final thoughts? No. Oh, that reminds me. They said in Breslov, why is it such a huge thing to dance in a circle? It's because everyone's equal. In a circle, there's no leader. Just everyone's kind of equal thing. All right. Thanks a lot for coming. Sorry for this hell and brimstone class. No, not too much self. Okay.
Do you always teach about Sefer Hamikdash?
No, it's just what I know best, and I usually am too busy to prepare well, so I kind of just fall back
It's so
on it.
difficult to understand.
I'd love to learn it too. I like learning it. If you want to learn it, I've learned it like over and over, and I thought about it a lot. So if you want to learn it together,
Yeah.
yeah.
I looked up Mercury.
Oh, you looked it up?
It messes up the performance of procreation. Stuff like leaking.
Mercury amalgams or something. That's interesting because here he's saying that like it increases male potency.
I'm saying
No,
increases it.
he's saying it like here he's saying it like what you call it.
Affects it, but
What's that?
It directly affects impotence.
No, but here he's saying the opposite. Mercury is conducive for masculine potence.
Impotence means,
No, potence.
is it impotence? You said?
No, it says potence. Potence. We'd have to look up the Hebrew to see if there's a mistranslation. No, it says number 34. Potence is the opposite of impotence. So, potence is in like potency. So I don't know.
Driving a Mercury.
What's that?
Maybe the car. I don't know.
Yeah, what would it be? We have to find out. The only reference I know is that weird thing in Indian medicine, which is very obscure and like it's a whole prepared thing where they burn it and use the ashes. It's it's not a.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something holding it or something.
Also, the whole purpose of life, I thought, was to bring the Shekhinah down to the.
No, if the purpose of life is to bring the Shekhinah Earth,
Have a good day, guys.
if the purpose of life is to bring the Shekhinah, the God's energy Earth, someone can make an argument that the Tzaddik Ador is the person who's like
a
coaching the
modem for
or just coaching us how to do it, how to do it practically.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thanks. Thank you for And now that I can talk about whatever I want, let's do a couple more minutes here. For the internet folks. Okay, a couple more on promiscuity. Through overeating, one comes to promiscuity. So it said that when we eat too much, the food it pushes down on our stomach, and that pushes down on our reproductive organs, and it's just kind of like heavy and weighing down the other direction. You know what I mean? 1 second. Let's close the door here. Someone working in natural medicine once told me a cure for nocturnal emissions, wet dreams, is not to overeat, because then not to overeat at night, because then things aren't pushing the seed down and out. One who destroys his path, who destroys his seed, a male who destroys his seed, through this his wallet is penniless. Yeah, there's always a connection in Kabbalah between like the sexual purity and the blessings of wealth. Okay, it looked like when I went to shut the door, I saw there was a good study session going on in the other room, so I'm gonna go catch that. Okay, and I might be doing every Tuesday. It looks like I might be doing every Tuesday for now. Gedal Fenster teaches the other almost every morning here at 7. Usually it's Sunday through Friday at 7 a.m. And then Tuesdays, it seems like he has off. So I might be covering in general then. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.